video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy, Camel, and I bet if you were bearish, I bet if you were waiting for a new low, I bet if you were waiting for a move into a logical level for Bitcoin, you're probably starting to get a little bit uncomfortable here. So today, we are going to talk a little bit about an announcement coming tomorrow for you guys. We are also going to talk a little bit about me watching a whole heap of companies pour into Bitcoin following the MicroStrategy playbook. I've got a whole heap of bullish looking Bitcoin charts I want to share with you, and then a few extra bits of bonus content, and once more, we will dive into the charts and see if we can find some tradable setups. So if you're interested in watching us get underneath some trades in real time, trades called out ahead of time and making all the levels public, okay? Trading because we actually are a trader. Unlike a bunch of these LARPs you see online that just tell you after the fact that they told you so and they were right, okay? We're going to call the trades out ahead of time. We're going to show you the levels. So hit that subscribe button, follow us along as we do this again in real time, and let's get into today's episode. Now, a bunch of you have been asking when we're going to do some kind of giveaway code for the indicator, when we're going to do some kind of discount code, and Ben has authorized an Easter sale where you can get 50% off of the indicator and everything that comes with it, including the chatbot, the Discord clone, the educational content, all of that stuff. But there's only going to be 20 codes available for the discount, okay? Only for the first 20 people. Now, he wanted me to announce this today, but it didn't quite seem fair because I know a bunch of you are viewers from other time zones. So I thought what I would do is I would let you guys know now that tomorrow I'll be putting a code in for you guys to use to get 50% off. But like I said, it's only going to be applicable to the first 20 people that go to use it. So consider yourself warned, okay? Hit that subscribe button, make sure the notifications are turned on so you don't miss the opportunity. There's a whole heap of new updates, including adding trendline stuff. As I think I've mentioned before, we've also now got cycle alerts live. So when the indicator flashes are low, you can get trading view alerts. So you asked for it, there it is. They are fully live now. We've also had the chatbot upgraded, so you can come in here and you can ask it whatever you need to know and it will give you an instant answer. And they've even built a tool that enables you to go into this spreadsheet, search for a keyword, and it will go through every single one of the, I don't know what it is, something like 1,100 or 1,200 videos that I've uploaded to YouTube. It will search for keywords throughout all of those. So I know from time to time people ask me things like, hey Camel, can you point me to that video where you showed the gold ETF thing or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, now you can just type in gold ETF here and it will pull every single video that's got any information about gold ETFs in. And again, we're going to be doing even more updates in the next 3 or 4 weeks, so stay tuned for those. And for the people that keep asking about when an alternative to PayPal is coming, that should be ready in the very near future. And this is the big one, I know, because lots and lots of people wanted these. Indicator alerts are live. So whether you're using this to add to your DCA stack at the best possible price, or whether you want this for actionable trade setups, we now have indicator alerts ready to go. If anyone's unfamiliar with it, okay, I've been pointing this out on XRP for 2 reasons. First of all, it's been extremely good at picking the lows on XRP. And second of all, note the volatility compression that we're having here, okay? These are getting smaller and smaller, which tells me that probably by the time we get to this next cycle low window, which is this one in green, we will get a tradable low, the camel will pick it, and then I think it's off to Valhalla. Also, for Bitcoin, as an example, okay, it is getting ready to pick the next daily cycle low inside of the next window. So whilst we look to be getting a breakout here, we do know on a balance of probabilities, a new tradable cycle low is coming in the not too distant future. The big question, of course, is whether or not that low is going to be a higher low than this one or a slightly lower low. But one thing we do know is we got the window and we're getting ready to see that dip into that cycle low window for Bitcoin. So make sure you tune in tomorrow, right? Make sure you get your opportunity to get hold of this thing for 50% less than the already cheap asking price. I think it works out 70p a day or something like that if you want to use it. So this will make it 35-ish p a day. In other news, okay, Michael Saylor continues to buy more Bitcoin. Have a look at this, okay? And it's not just strategy that is doing this. It is now Metaplanet as well, okay? They're buying more Bitcoin, admittedly much smaller size than Saylor, but still sticking to this idea of adding more and more Bitcoin on the corporate treasury. In addition to this, we've got this new publicly traded HK Asia Holdings just buying 10 Bitcoin for its balance sheet, again, following in the footsteps of this playbook. And we know that it's probably not too long now before GME is going to potentially drop upwards of $1 billion into Bitcoin. I expect this to continue, and in hindsight, we're probably going to be able to look back at this whole digestive period for Bitcoin, right? all of this neighborhood here is most probably letting some of these bigger players in. That's what I think is going on here, and I do still believe we are getting ready for the final push to the upside here. Notice how Gel is pointing out we've got, so far, breakout, retest, looking for resumption, fits my expectations nicely. We're also starting to confirm this on a weekly RSI breakout basis as well. Okay, again, pretty bullish if you ask me. Something like this makes a lot of sense, of course, as I've been saying over and over again. And as Gert is quick to point out here, don't be a linear thinker in an exponential world. The targets for these breakouts can be measured in both linear, which is this red, meaning we've already hit it, or logarithmic in black, which gives us a much higher target closer to around 300k. Give it some time. This measured move on the log scale is still on the table. No matter how many people think it's impossible, okay, we cannot discount this just yet. Not to mention, as Gert points out here, the on-chain metrics actually support a much higher move in the price of Bitcoin. This is the MVRV Z-score, okay? Looks very similar, if you ask me, to this lead-in phase right here before the acceleration and blast off. Again, lead-in phase here before the acceleration and blast off. So give it some time, right? Again, it's too early to make any strong conclusions. We can also see this from the Bitcoin realized HODL ratio, okay? Doesn't really look like a big move into the red zone at the top. Now, it could always, of course, be one of these kind of lackluster moves here. That could be the case, but it certainly doesn't look anything like the prior parabolic blow-off tops that we've seen historically. Again, tells us that potentially we can be open to seeing higher prices. And on top of that, the price cycle never crossed. Now, be honest, I'm not a big fan of this indicator at all, but objectively speaking, it doesn't look anywhere like we've seen a top come in just yet. So give it some time, right? Give it some space. Don't be too fast to draw conclusions. Something else that supports higher Bitcoin prices is the global liquidity, which, by the way, is currently sitting at new all-time highs. Okay, normally where this goes, Bitcoin follows. So give it some time. And again, note the year-over-year change down the bottom, okay? Starting to break to the upside. This is not nothing and tells us to keep an open mind about seeing higher prices walking forward, no matter how bearish it feels out there, no matter how few people think there is further upside left in this. Understand when we just look at the charts, there is still plenty of bullish case to be made here. Speaking of bullish case, did you know that gold is now up 1,000% since the year 2000. Meanwhile, the S&P has returned less than half of that, okay? I bet you never expected to hear somebody say that. That's right. Despite everyone thinking gold is a boomer rock that doesn't do anything, it is now vastly outperforming the S&P 500 since the year 2000. But you know what does better over its existence? And that, of course, is Bitcoin, okay? So pause your screen and take a good look at this. But I do believe we are now moving into this new era in which the commodity markets, things like Bitcoin and gold. I know a lot of people don't like to think of Bitcoin as a commodity, but that's what I think it is personally. And the likes of Bitcoin and gold, I believe, are going to continue to outperform the equities over the remainder of this decade and possibly even early into the next decade. Could there be more upside left for equities? Yes. But is the S&P and the equity markets likely to outperform things like Bitcoin and gold over the next 10 years? I highly doubt it. Expect this channel to slowly but surely start to pivot away from being primarily equity focused and towards being more commodity, Bitcoin and gold focused. I know we've kind of been that way for a while because we've had some major 4-year cycle lows for Bitcoin, the major 8-year cycle low a few years ago for gold. But believe me, this is going to continue and people are going to be very late and reluctant to get on board this. And I'll tell you something else they're going to perpetually do. And that's try to call the tops in the likes of Bitcoin and gold without the understanding that both of them are going to continue to outperform the equity markets. So stay tuned for some wild times ahead for sure. And speaking of wild times, the S&P 500 has just formed a death cross. Now, the funny thing about the death cross, usually when Bitcoin forms a death cross, it tends to chop around a bit and then moon to the upside, right? Chop around a bit and moon to the upside. But for the equity markets, by the time we get a death cross, it normally resolves to a downtrend. So this is not nothing. The death cross is a lagging indicator on price action that's already occurred. It typically happens after a sizable correction and is usually followed by a nice short-term pump. So again, we could certainly see some relief here over the coming days and weeks. But it's very, very seldom that we see a death cross resolve to new all-time highs for equity markets. As I said, we routinely see Bitcoin undergo a death cross only to chop around and then moon to new highs again. I speculate that's largely to do with Bitcoin's volatility being so far outsized versus the equities that by the time the cross occurs, it's already worked its way out and is ready to move higher. But as you can see right here, okay, most death crosses for the equity markets resolve to a downtrend. And if you think about it, that's what we've been saying here, right? Counter trend bounce, lower high, rollover, downtrend. So doesn't mean that we couldn't possibly break to new highs here, but it does mean this is not to be ignored. We should certainly be taking this seriously. And again, it kind of fits with the base case idea that we are moving towards this new era of seeing things like Bitcoin and gold and commodities et al. Outperforming the equity markets. Bitcoin, take a look at Bitcoin. Okay, let's start with this because it is working on a breakout right now. So this is pretty interesting. This kind of speaks to the potential for this to be a half cycle low inversion. I don't really want to have to deal with this. I would much rather see this thing kind of waddle around here, cycle low and go. That makes a lot of sense. That will give us a easy to identify setup. But I do think we have to be on guard here just in case this thing is going to break, as I've been saying over and over again. And the same is true of the equity markets right now. Okay, so far we are still contained below resistance. So far the cycles are down. So far the highest probability setup is rejection at resistance and a rollover into that cycle low timing window. But if the thing is going to break out, then we may well have to react to that and entertain that we did get a half cycle low inversion in here. So time will tell as always. For now though, keeping a very close eye on this, keeping a very close eye on Bitcoin. If this thing's getting ready to go, then I would imagine these miners, which are extremely oversold, are going to start to really outperform from where they are. Meanwhile, gold has all the familiar symptoms of looking to left translate and roll over here to go and find that weekly cycle low. I don't know where my weekly cycle lows are. There we go. So something akin to this would make the most sense from a cycle perspective. And again, silver is also in that sweet spot to look for a rejection at resistance and move down towards a weekly cycle low. So if we can get that, super easy to identify setups, super easy setups to get behind. And again, make sure you subscribe so you can follow along and watch us do this in real time. As ever, we're kind of positioned for every possible outcome, right? If this is going to just start to rip to the upside here, then all the dip buying we did back here when we were screaming contrarian buy the dip and all that kind of thing, that will resolve to profit. If we are going to reject at resistance and move towards the cycle low, then again, we can get behind some cycle low trades and take the bounce to the lower high, and then we can start to look for short setups. And if Bitcoin is going to go here, then everyone that was screaming again in here, you know, oh, call it, you know, weekly cycle lows failed and all this kind of thing. I kept saying, no, it hasn't failed yet. Okay. It looks to me like we're getting ready to confirm it. So if that's the case, then we can put our focus on selling all of the spot Bitcoin, all of the shares of the crypto stocks that were acquired at the 4-year cycle low. That can be the main focus. And of course, we'll be able to find some trades to supplement these moves on the way up. If the cycles are going to continue to do cycle things and we're going to get one final dip into here, then of course that will be a very easy to identify setup and we'll be able to catch that in real time. As always, we'll set a public stop loss level so we can't possibly cheat it. We'll look to continue to benefit and profit from these markets in front of everyone in real time. So I'm your boy Camel. I hope you're doing well. Do hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on, and be ready to receive your 50% discount code tomorrow. Other than that, until next time, take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see, rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame, sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a bad